What if I told you that the greatest barrier to your growth isn't outside of you, but hidden deep within you? What if the very qualities you reject, deny, or run away from are the keys to your transformation? This is the paradox of shadow work. We spend so much of our lives polishing the surface, trying to appear confident, kind, successful, yet beneath that mask lives another side of us. A side we rarely dare to face. But here's the truth. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is the forgotten half of your soul. Inside it lives your suppressed creativity, your raw power, your unspoken truth. And unless you learn how to face it, you will keep repeating the same patterns in love, in work, in the quiet moments when no one is watching. So let me ask you, are you tired of circling around the same struggles over and over? Do you sense there's something hidden that keeps sabotaging your progress? If so, then shadow work is not just an idea for you, it's the path. In this journey, I'm not here to give you empty theory or sugar-coated inspiration. I will guide you through prompts, real, direct, uncompromising questions that can open the door to genuine change. No fluff, no vague advice, just the raw, honest dialogue with your own unconscious. If you stay with me, you'll discover how to move from avoidance to awareness, from projection to integration, from fragmentation to wholeness. Are you ready to meet the part of yourself you've been avoiding the most? Shadow work. The term sounds mysterious, even intimidating, but at its core, it is a simple idea born from the psychology of Carl Gustav Jung. Jung believed that every human being carries within them a shadow, the part of the psyche made up of everything we repress, deny, or push out of sight. These are not only our so-called negative traits, like anger, jealousy, or selfishness. They also include hidden gifts, suppressed talents, and raw emotions that we've never allowed ourselves to express. Think of it this way. As children, we are full of impulses. We want to shout, to create, to cry, to dance, to demand love. But as we grow, society, family, and culture tell us which parts of ourselves are acceptable. Little by little, we exile pieces of our authentic nature. We push them into the unconscious, into the shadow. And though we may forget them, they do not disappear. They live on, waiting for recognition. Why does this matter for you today? Because what remains hidden controls us the most. The shadow does not stay locked away. It seeps into our relationships, our choices, and our identity. You might find yourself reacting strongly to other people, disliking in them what you cannot face in yourself. You might sabotage opportunities without knowing why. You might feel a vague emptiness, as if something essential is missing. Shadow work is the process of reversing this exile. It is the practice of bringing those forgotten parts of you back into the light of awareness, not to glorify them, not to justify harmful impulses, but to integrate them to make peace with what is human within you. And here's the beauty. When you integrate the shadow, you don't just heal wounds, you reclaim power. The anger you denied can become healthy boundaries. The sadness you hid can deepen your compassion. The selfishness you feared can turn into self-respect. Every piece of shadow, once integrated, transforms into strength. This is why shadow work is so important in our modern world. We live in an age obsessed with appearances, filters, and surface-level positivity. But no matter how much light we try to project, the unacknowledged shadow still whispers beneath the surface. Only by turning inward, by asking the right questions, by daring to face what we've hidden, can we step into authentic wholeness. So in this series of prompts, I will not just talk about the shadow, I will guide you directly into it. Through carefully designed questions, you will confront your projections, meet your hidden desires, and uncover the patterns that keep you stuck. These prompts are not easy, but if you stay with them, they can change the way you see yourself forever. Imagine this. Deep in an ancient forest, there is a hidden cave. Few dare to enter, because from the outside it looks dark, damp, and dangerous. The villagers whisper stories about it. They say, the cave is cursed, filled with shadows that swallow men whole. And so, generation after generation, the people avoid it, building their lives around it, warning their children never to step inside. But here's the secret. Inside that cave lies a chest of unimaginable treasures. Gold, jewels, ancient scrolls of wisdom. Yet no one ever claims them, because fear of the darkness is greater than the desire for discovery. This is the perfect metaphor for the shadow. The cave is your unconscious, The villagers are your conscious mind, trying to stay safe, trying to avoid pain. And the treasure? That is the forgotten power of your soul. Creativity, courage, raw emotion, and authenticity all locked away because they once frightened you or frightened others. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." He knew that the cave we avoid is the very place we must go if we want to become whole. Think about your own life. What are the caves you avoid? Maybe it's the cave of anger you fear that if you express it, you'll hurt others. Maybe it's the cave of desire you were told as a child that wanting too much makes you greedy. Maybe it's the cave of sadness you learned that showing tears makes you weak. And so, like the villagers, you stay outside, building your life around the entrance, never daring to go in. But here's the paradox. The longer you avoid the cave, the more power it holds over you. The shadow you deny begins to leak into your daily life. Anger bursts out at the wrong time. Desire drives your choices from behind the curtain. Sadness lingers as numbness, making joy feel distant. Shadow work is the act of stepping into the cave, not recklessly, but with awareness, with a lantern in your hand. The lantern is reflection. The lantern is the prompt, the question that illuminates what was hidden. Each step you take into the darkness reveals more of the treasure, more of your authentic self. The cave doesn't shrink when you enter. It may even feel larger, more mysterious, but something shifts inside you. Fear turns into curiosity, avoidance becomes courage, and judgment melts into understanding. Remember this, the treasure in the cave has always belonged to you. The only question is, will you continue to walk around the entrance, or will you dare to step inside? If you want to begin shadow work in a real, practical way, the first step is learning to recognize the signs of your shadow. You cannot integrate what you cannot see, and often, the shadow does not reveal itself directly. Instead, it shows up in subtle yet powerful patterns. Here are 3 of the most important signs that your shadow is influencing your life. Number 1. Overreactions that surprise you. Have you ever wondered why certain situations trigger you so deeply, while others barely affect you? Perhaps a colleague makes a small mistake, and you feel an explosion of irritation inside. Or a friend receives praise, and jealousy stirs so strongly it shocks you. These reactions often feel disproportionate, like something inside you has been waiting to burst. This is the shadow speaking. Overreactions are rarely about the present moment. They are about old wounds, buried emotions, and traits you have disowned. The shadow uses intensity as a signal, a way to say, "Look here, this is not just about them. This is about you." Next time you overreact, pause and ask yourself, what part of me is being reflected here? What quality in the mirrors something I have rejected in myself? Number 2. Strong dislike or judgment of others. Think of the people who annoy you the most, the ones whose behavior you cannot stand. Maybe it's arrogance, laziness, or neediness. Here's the paradox. Often, what we despise in others is exactly what we refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. Carl Jung called this projection. We project onto others the qualities that we keep in the shadow. The more we deny them within, the more they irritate us when we see them outside. This doesn't mean that bad behavior is excusable, but it does mean that your emotional charge holds a clue. If someone's arrogance burns you up inside, it may point to your own unexpressed confidence. If laziness disgusts you, it may reflect your own hidden need for rest. Make a list of the 3 traits in others that irritate you the most. Then ask, where do these traits live? However small, in me. How do I suppress or deny them in my own life? Number 3. Patterns that keep repeating. Do you find yourself caught in the same kinds of relationships, the same setbacks, the same disappointments? It can feel like life is on repeat, dragging you into familiar struggles again and again. This is another sign of the shadow. What remains unhealed is destined to repeat until you face it. If you keep choosing partners who are emotionally distant, it may reflect your own disconnection from vulnerability. If you keep losing opportunities, it may reveal an unconscious fear of success. The shadow does not let go until it is integrated. These repeating patterns are not punishments, they are invitations. Life is asking you, are you ready to look at the hidden force that shapes your choices? Think of one life pattern that repeats for you. Ask, what hidden belief or fear is driving this repetition? What part of me wants to stay unseen, yet keeps showing up through this cycle? The key here is awareness. Once you begin noticing these signs, overreactions, harsh judgments, repeating patterns, you cannot unsee them. And that is good news. Because seeing is the beginning of integration. The shadow thrives in the dark, but it loses its grip once you turn toward it with honest reflection. In the next part, we will go even deeper. We will explore 3 more powerful lessons about the shadow-hidden desires, repression, and the secret ways your unconscious shapes your choices. In the last section, we explored 3 signs of the shadow: overreactions, harsh judgments of others, and repeating life patterns. But the shadow is far more cunning. It hides not only in your reactions, but also in your silences, in your unspoken desires, in the energy you repress every single day. Let us uncover 3 more ways the shadow shows itself, often without you realizing it. Number 4, hidden desires you don't admit even to yourself. Every human being carries longings they hesitate to reveal. Maybe you crave recognition, but tell yourself you shouldn't need validation. Maybe you secretly wish to rest and do nothing, but you keep wearing busyness like a badge of honor. Or maybe you feel an urge to express sexuality, creativity, or power, yet you bury it under layers of shame. The shadow thrives in these secret desires. What you cannot admit to yourself becomes an underground river, shaping your choices in ways you don't notice. The more you suppress, the more your life feels like a performance rather than an authentic expression. Ask yourself, what do I secretly want, but never allow myself to admit? If no one judged me, what would I dare to desire? Number 5, emotional numbness, the absence of feeling. Sometimes the shadow doesn't show up as too much emotion, but as too little. You might notice yourself feeling detached, empty, or numb. You go through the motions of life, but everything feels flat, like colors drained from a painting. This numbness is often a shield. To protect yourself from pain, you unconsciously shut down joy, excitement, and vulnerability as well. But the cost is high. When you exile pain, you exile vitality too. Carl Jung observed that the shadow contains both light and dark. When we push it all away, we lose the very energy that makes us feel alive. Ask, where do I feel emotionally numb? What am I afraid might surface if I let myself truly feel? Number 6, self-sabotage disguised as bad luck. Have you ever noticed how certain opportunities seem to slip through your fingers? Perhaps you procrastinate until a deadline passes, or you say the wrong thing just as a relationship deepens, or you somehow manage to forget the very task that could move your dream forward. From the outside, it looks like bad timing or bad luck, but often this is shadow at work. Beneath the surface, part of you fears change, success, or intimacy. And so, without realizing it, you sabotage yourself to stay safe in the familiar. This is why awareness is so powerful. Once you see the shadow's hidden hand, you can stop blaming fate and start reclaiming responsibility. Ask, where do I repeatedly sabotage myself? What hidden fear benefits from me staying small, unseen, or unfulfilled? The shadow is not just darkness. It is the unacknowledged life force of the psyche. Hidden desires, emotional numbness, and self-sabotage are not random flaws. They are signals pointing you inward. Remember, you don't do shadow work to judge yourself. You do it to become whole. Every time you uncover one of these signs, you reclaim a piece of your power. In the next section, we'll look at the final lessons of shadow work, what it truly means to integrate, to transform, and to step into the wholeness you've been seeking all along. So far, we have uncovered 6 powerful signs of the shadow: overreactions, harsh judgments, repeating patterns, hidden desires, numbness, and self-sabotage. Each one is a doorway, but what happens after you recognize them? Recognition is only the beginning. The true transformation comes when you learn how to integrate the shadow. Integration is the art of turning inner conflict into inner wholeness. Let's explore the final lessons. Number 7, owning your projections instead of blaming others. The first step of integration is radical ownership. When you notice yourself triggered, instead of pointing the finger outward, you turn inward. You ask, what is this showing me about myself? This doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior from others. It means reclaiming your power. As long as you keep blaming, you remain stuck in the role of victim. But the moment you say, "This reaction lives in me," you open the door to healing. Projection becomes reflection, and reflection becomes integration. Next time someone irritates you, ask, "What in me resonates with what I see in them? What lesson is this shadow trying to teach me?" Number 8. Allowing the unacceptable part space to exist. Integration does not mean unleashing your shadow recklessly. It means allowing space for the parts you've rejected to be acknowledged. If you've always denied anger, you might begin by expressing it safely through writing, through voice, through movement. If you've buried creativity, you might experiment with painting, singing, or journaling without judgment. When you allow the unacceptable parts to exist in safe, conscious ways, you bring them back under your awareness. The shadow loses its destructive grip when it no longer needs to fight for recognition. Ask, what is one quality I've always rejected in myself? How can I give it a safe, conscious expression today? Number 9. Reframing the shadow as hidden power. The final lesson is perspective. The shadow is not a monster to be slain. It is energy to be reclaimed. Your anger, once integrated, can fuel courage. Your envy can guide you toward your true desires. Your sadness can deepen empathy. Integration transforms poison into medicine. Carl Jung taught that wholeness is not perfection, it is the union of opposites. When light and dark join, you become more authentic, more real, more human. Ask, what strength lies hidden inside the shadow I fear the most? How might this darkness, once integrated, actually serve me? Integration is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong practice of noticing, accepting, and transforming. But each step brings more freedom. The more you integrate, the less life feels like a struggle, and the more it feels like a dance between light and shadow, awareness and unconscious, fear and courage. In the next section, we will reflect on Jung's deeper philosophy of the shadow and why facing darkness is not only personal, but profoundly human. Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Few sentences capture the essence of shadow work more clearly. Think about it. How many times in your life have you said, "This always happens to me," or "Why do I always attract this kind of person?" or "Why do I keep repeating the same mistake?" We call it fate, bad luck, destiny, but Jung would tell us it is the shadow. The shadow is not a moral problem. It is not about being good or bad. It is about wholeness. Jung insisted that true growth is not about cutting off parts of yourself, but about integrating them. To split yourself into light and dark, acceptable and unacceptable, is to live divided. To integrate is to live whole. This is a radical philosophy, especially in a culture obsessed with perfection and positivity. We are taught to display our strengths, to hide our flaws, to curate the best version of ourselves for the world. But Jung reminds us, enlightenment is not about pretending to be light. It is about embracing the dark. Think of the yin-yang symbol. Within the white, there is a dot of black. Within the black, a dot of white. Balance, harmony, and wholeness are not found in purity, but in the union of opposites. Shadow work is the practice of living this truth. Here's the paradox. When you run from your darkness, it grows stronger. When you face it, it transforms. By looking directly into your shadow, you strip it of its power to control you. What once felt like an enemy becomes an ally. What once seemed like poison becomes medicine. Consider this. Your deepest wounds often point to your deepest gifts. The person who struggled with rejection may grow into a master of empathy. The one who feared speaking their truth may become a powerful communicator. The one who wrestled with anger may become a protector of justice. The shadow is not just what is wrong with you, it is also what is undeveloped within you. But here's the challenge. Integration is not comfortable. It asks you to sit with contradictions, to admit, I am both kind and selfish. I am both gentle and angry. I am both confident and insecure. To hold both without judgment. This, Jung believed, is the path to individuation, the process of becoming your most authentic self. So let me ask you, what would happen if you stopped fighting yourself? What would happen if, instead of trying to eliminate the parts you dislike, you learned to listen to them? Could it be that the very thing you fear in yourself is the missing piece you need to become whole? Shadow work is not simply psychology. It is philosophy, spirituality, and humanity. To embrace your shadow is to embrace the truth that you are not one-dimensional. You are complex, paradoxical, and alive. And perhaps this is the deepest lesson. The goal of shadow work is not to become perfect, but to become real. We began this journey with a simple yet unsettling idea. The greatest barrier to your growth is not outside of you, but within you. Along the way, we explored the caves of the unconscious, uncovered the signs of the shadow, and walked through prompts that invite real reflection. And now, here we are at the threshold of integration. Shadow work is not a quick fix. It is not about becoming perfect, nor about erasing the parts of yourself you dislike. It is about honesty. It is about courage. It is about saying, every part of me belongs. Every part has something to teach me. When you stop running from the shadow, you discover that it is not darkness for darkness' sake. It is darkness seeking light. Think of the transformation we have traced, from darkness to awareness, from repression to acceptance, from fragmentation to wholeness. This is the real work. Not fluff, not surface-level positivity, but the raw, honest journey of becoming whole. So I ask you now, what would it look like if you applied even one of the prompts from this series to your own life? What might shift if you allowed yourself to admit a hidden desire, face a repeating pattern, or own a projection? Change does not come from theory. Change comes from practice, from taking the lantern of reflection and stepping into your own cave. And here is the promise. The treasure is worth it. On the other side of the shadow, there is freedom. Freedom from unconscious repetition. Freedom to live more authentically. Freedom to become who you were meant to be, not who you were told to be. If this journey has spoken to you, I invite you to continue. Leave a comment below, share which prompt resonated with you most. Subscribe to this channel if you want more guidance on shadow work, Jungian psychology, and the art of inner transformation. And most of all, take the next step for yourself. Don't just listen, reflect, write, feel, dare to meet the shadow, because the shadow will not go away on its own. But the moment you face it, it becomes your ally. And with that, you begin the journey from being fragmented to being whole. Are you ready to take that step? The shadow is waiting not to hurt you, but to return you to yourself.